So I'm here in my workshop with Sal. Sal, you came to me how long ago? We were trying to remember, weren't we?
Yeah, I think last year, it was 2017 in April. Came to you with a nice little brief, I think.
So Sal came to me with a brief to make an electric Saz.
Yes.
Now I had no idea. I had no idea what a Saz was. So just tell us about the project and what you had in mind. Sal.
Well, I've been playing the Saz since I was about 10 years old.
Yeah.
And I always had a passion for this, all types of Saz instruments, because there's 5 different types of the Saz family.
Yeah.
From the small one to the big ones. And I actually learned on acoustic Sazes. And I didn't start to go into electric Sazes until I was about 15, 16, because that's the way I was taught.
Now when you say an acoustic Saz, we're talking about a round back instrument.
Exactly.
Yeah. But the electric Saz you're talking about is an acoustic instrument, but with some pickups.
With some pickups in it.
Into the front.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And there's no sound holes. With the acoustic, there's a few sound holes on the top and the back.
Yeah.
With the electric one, it's all like with pickups. It's basically like normal electric guitar. So what I wanted to create is a different type of electric Saz. So I created this instrument, which obviously you've made. So the one idea I had is I wanted to eliminate a few parts on it, which obviously we discovered together that wasn't necessary, was it? Really?
Yes.
So yeah, with the Saz, it's probably the most famous instrument culturally in Turkey, mainland Turkey. For many hundred years, I think it's nearly 1,000 years now. Saz has been played in Turkey, and because I've got a great passion for it, I just want to create not only just my own one, but just a few little tweaks here and there to make it better in sounding, and obviously better for the future for Saz players, really.
Saz is you're a graphic designer
by
background, so Sal very helpfully came to me with sort of AO size drawings, you know, with you know, really sort of well specced out, which was great for me. The challenges for me, having sort of never made a Saz before, was, well, there are certain things you wanted, such as frets rather than a traditional Saz, where the sort of fret positions are sort of bound with sort of plastic up and down the
plastic wire,
up and down the neck. So you'll see from some close-ups the fret locations are totally different from a traditional,
very different
Western guitar, electric or acoustic. So that was interesting for me to get my head around the funny spacing, and also making a neck from scratch of a Saz. I'd never made one before. But I got that about right.
Yeah.
Yeah. The
really
shape
right.
of that.
Should I just mention why these little notes? What these little notes are as well?
Yeah. Talk about quarter notes.
It's like David just mentioned. It's nothing like the traditional guitar notes on the fretboard, because we've got quarter notes. Because we play Arabic music, and some of these notes that exist on a traditional electric Saz now, or even an acoustic Saz, are called quarter notes. So we've got notes on this particular instrument that are not even on the piano. So for example, between my A and B, we've got 2 extra notes. So it's not even a sharp, we've actually got another note between our sharps.
Okay.
Yeah. So for example, if I was to play, we've got another note here which doesn't exist on the piano, which is this note.
Yes.
Which creates that Arabic sound. Yeah, it actually sounds off when I play it by itself, but believe me, it's not off. So we create like Arabic scale.
Yeah.
So that was, I think, the most challenging part for you was actually to get our head around the fretboard, which we've done an amazing job. And I believe we had to find special frets, didn't we?
Yes, because the wraparound fret markers, the tied fret markers on a traditional Saz are, no more than maybe sort of, I don't know, sort of 0.4 or 0.5 millimeter thick, and sort of trying to sort of replicate that with frets, but it didn't feel unduly tall.
Yeah.
And inhibited the playing.
Yeah.
These are definitely the smallest frets I've ever installed,
and they need to be small.
Yeah, they need to be narrow and particularly low. So I think these are some like sort of 1.5 wide and 0.5 or 0.6 tall. So you wouldn't put those on any
no, not at all
guitar type instrument.
But I think it suited it perfectly, because I think what's going to be hardest for electric Saz players or any Saz players, trying to get them used to playing with frets like these.
Yeah.
Because when we do our sliding, they're gonna depend how hard you hit the actual string. But I think it's just been getting used to it because we do a lot of sliding in Turkish music, like.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to take a bit of used to, but I think we've got them. Plus on this instrument, if you just want to mention, we've put like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 extra notes here as well, which doesn't exist on the traditional electric Saz, which is very helpful when you're playing a particular song which needs 2 octaves.
Yes.
That was good. And the headstock.
Well, the headstock, which caused me lots of grief. Not so much the actual shaping of it, because you had that done elsewhere. But actually sort of joining it to the neck was not straightforward. But
just a brief story about this headstock. I think it took me about 4.5 months, I think, just to get this headstock right, because it is a unique design. But we had to get it 3D printed. Then we got it 3D printed in like resin, and then David looked at it and think, well, it's nearly there, but not really appropriate for the tuners, because they were too thin. So this is basically the second generation, and then we finally got the design right, sent it off, and then we actually 3D printed it in wood.
But traditional Sazes, so what we've got fitted here is guitar tuners.
Yes.
This type of sort of 16-line would be sort of common on a sort of Fender type instrument, but so a traditional Saz wouldn't have this.
Wouldn't have this, no.
So I think what we've got here is probably more stable and easier tuning than on a traditional.
Very much
Saz,
easier tuning, because obviously they use traditional wooden pegs.
Friction held by friction,
which is to a point they're fine. But hence why they still need fine tuners on the bottom, which I believe are they cello or violin fine tuners that we discovered, which I wanted to eliminate that to make it more cleaner here, and then hence why we used ball end strings now, didn't we? So we used ball end strings
rather than loop end.
Yeah, straight into these tuners, and we've got now more precise tuning.
But originally your plan was to have fine tuners. Because that's what you
took me out.
I was saying, well, why do you need fine tuners if you're going to have sort of it's unfair to say proper tuners, but this type of tuner,
definitely, it worked really well.
So part of the development of this whole project was you coming with your ideas and me to a certain extent questioning some of those ideas and saying, why that?
I think this is what I wanted, because obviously you've never made a Saz before. I've got this thing in my head where I want to create a new type of Saz, but because you've got the experience in making guitars and all the actual components and the fretboard, I did actually wanted you to have your own opinions, so we can set the standard for the new SazCo Saz, rather than trying to mimic what other people are doing.
So the pickups and the electronics, let's just talk about that. So we agreed these are Seymour Duncan cool rails. Which I think look great in the whole sort of setup of the instrument, but with push-pull pots we've used sort of in effect coil cuts for each of the coils, to create that sort of thinner sounds, more top sound, which you hear on acoustic Saz, and playing it earlier. What you having sort of only had about 50 minutes.
Well, I had about 10 minutes playing of it so far. But I, because obviously we had a certain idea in our head, didn't we? Because I brought traditional electric Saz for you to hear first, and then we decided how to actually use these push and pulls with this three-way switch to create that sound I had in my head. And I'm glad we actually got rid of the EQ, because when we had the EQ,
Yes.
equalizer on the other one, which we eliminated. I don't think we need it. So I think these produce a really nice, pleasant, thin and thick sound as well, depending on the song they're going to play, really.
Because originally, you know, your acoustic Saz, which has got electronics built in, had I think about sort of 4 or 5 sort of micro switches.
Micro switches, yeah.
And you weren't quite sure what they were actually doing sort of in terms of the switching arrangement. And one of the discussions was about, well, which of those sounds do Saz players actually use?
Yeah.
And is there an opportunity in designing this whole project to maybe do something a bit different and simplify it down? So instead of having lots of micro switches, just simply a volume, a tone, a 3-way switch, and push-pull for each pickup. So that's a very traditional arrangement for me in terms of electric.
And like we discovered, it's half the sounds that they were creating and not using. So I did a lot of research in people playing live electric Sazes and obviously people playing in a studio.
Yeah.
So in a studio, obviously they go for a mixer, they go through lots of EQ, lots of different special effects sounds and effects pedals, where they're only using one setting on the Saz. So I'm thinking some of those things are, if you eliminate it, they're not really going to miss it.
Yes. Yeah.
But for live playing, they probably use only 1 or 2 settings for that particular piece they're going to play. They're not going to keep on flicking switches to play like different sounds. So I think I'm glad we went with these and eliminated those EQ.
Yes. Okay.
And the bridge.
Oh yes, the bridge. Yeah. I'll show you some close-ups of the bridge. The idea is it's height adjustable with a bone saddle in there. Yeah, one of the things I've really enjoyed when Sal has been coming to our workshop is actually sort of hearing you play, because this is a very different sound for me, and you're a very good player. So should we play some stuff now? Because thanks, Sal. It's been really interesting.
No, thank you too. It's been quite an 18-month journey, I think, but I think we got there in the end.
Yeah, and for me doing something very different and meeting your expectations, and I suppose the benefits of having quite a long project time is we have had time to discuss the various elements and say should we do something different? What do you think about
and
this?
I think we developed it as we went along as well, because obviously some ideas wouldn't work, like you said, with the fine tuning, so we eliminated that, the other bits and pieces. So I think we actually created this instrument together as well, rather than me coming with a plan. Obviously I did have a detailed drawing, but I think we created something together, and hope you guys enjoy the sound now.
And what are your sort of hopes, sort of beyond this now?
Well, my initial thought was for the SazCo was to develop these sorts of instruments, obviously with using different types of wood, but keeping this construction. This is the SN X1. Basically, SN will stand for short neck, because this is the short neck version. There'll be a long neck version, which you're going to obviously get probably a few more notes, which is more traditional. But I think a lot of people, I'm discovering now in mainland Turkey and in Europe, a lot of people are playing now short neck, where you actually can play the whole piece just by tuning the top string differently. So you can play a whole piece without even moving your arm up and down. So I think the short neck version is the way to go, and hopefully put it into production and do a few more.
And you've got a few Saz players that who are interested to get their hands on this and see.
I've teased them. Well, David's been sending me some pictures on and off of the making of this, and I've been teasing them on social media and texting and stuff. So I think everyone's looking forward to hearing it and seeing it and then trying it out for themselves.
Okay. Right. So should we get the amp going and we'll
see what it sounds like.
See what it sort of sounds like.
Brilliant.